Hi there, welcome to the webinar, Design Reinvention, Hospitality, Glamping, Hotels Beyond Four Walls by Delivering Age Communications and C9 Hotelworks. Hi everyone, this is the fifth in this Think series. We kicked off with Bill Bensley's Human Zoo, then we moved to Health and Wellness, Farm to Table, the Bar for the highly popular Down the Outlets piece last week, and today we're in the tent. I'm David Johnson, I'm CEO of Delivering Age Communications, and I'm your moderator today. Just first up, a couple of quick things, a couple of housekeeping things. There's a Q&A function below. Please put your questions in the Q&A function and we'll get to them at the end. The session's also going to be recorded, as have all the previous sessions been recorded. So that link will be sent to you after about an hour after we finish. Okay, let's get going. Some call it glamping, some call it luxury camping or hotels without walls, but adventure travel is on the upswing and travel is in every budget. Can't wait to get out of the box. So today we've assembled a collection of specialist speakers who worked on projects across the world, 5 different continents. And they're going to talk about what's worked, what hasn't worked, and what the future may bring. So first up, we have Luca Franco, CEO and founder, Luxury Frontiers, adventure seeker, marathon runner. Luca really walks the walk and talks the talk, and he's worked with as many of the top hotel brands as you can possibly imagine. Luca, we're delighted to have you with us.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Bill. And I'm going to share my screen. If you don't, no. Yeah. You see, I put on. Okay. Do you see my screen, everyone? Okay, good. So first of all, thank you, Bill. Thank you, David, and great opportunity to be here. And I'm so excited to be with Anneke and with Louis. It has been. I just realized that the 3 of us started our 3 own businesses probably 8 to 10 years ago, and we took the companies in different directions. But after 10 years, we are here and all in the same room or in the same Zoom. And talk about our industry, our amazing travel industry, and see if we can spark some ideas. So first of all, I'm optimistic, and in spite of this humanitarian crisis, that of course it's awful for everyone. I'm an adventure seeker, as you mentioned. I'm passionate for transformational travel and for rewilding, and I'm a pioneer like Anneke and Louis. And so created Luxury Frontiers 10 years ago with something I really wanted to create something meaningful to people, to the environment. And Luxury Frontiers is a design and development firm of luxury experiential alternative eco-sensitive resorts, camps and lodges. And it was funded with the very simple objective in mind: to create a truly experiential hospitality structures that are sensitive to the natural environment and encourage.
Luca, I'm really sorry. I'm going to have to interrupt you. Your screen is black, and we cannot see it.
That's a problem. Sharing is paused. Let's start again. Do you see it again?
Absolutely. That's great. Thank you. Okay. Yes.
So I was saying that everything that we do is very authentic, with a sense of place, responsible with a purpose, and viable. And we're focusing on the triple bottom line. So. And so today I wanted to walk you through our typical project process and stage by stage, and taking in consideration samples of projects that we have been doing in different parts of the world, and stage by stage. And so we go from research, planning, and design and development and operations and media push at the very end. And so, of course, everything that we do has to be consumer based and supported by consumers. I learned some lessons that everything has to be done, any decision strategy has to be done supported by consumer. So we do a lot of research in-house, so we work with parties like Bill, and we do competitive set analysis, and it's a lot about research with the context, with the environment, with the biodiversity, with the existing wildlife in the region, and the building methodology, heritage, culture. And the first step is to do a site visit, site discovery. I think we are all missing these days of going to the site and explore the site. We will go back soon. So after all this research, we start planning, and from site planning, master planning, experiential design is the first thing that we do, because it's all for us is about designing, defining the contents before going to define the box. And so it's all about creating the experiential script for the guest. And all the projects are about have to be about biodiversity, community, sustainability, and hospitality is one of the components to support the conservation project. We go through sustainability from planning, design, development, and operation. It's part of our core values, and projects have to be viable, of course. So throughout the design, we have design expertise, architects, interior designers in-house. And so we typically provide a full turnkey solution or design to build solution in some cases. And finally, after all this research, you can see some beautiful pictures, but all of them are contextualized with a great sense of place and authenticity, and customized also to embracing the local climate conditions, of course, and building methodologies. So in each project, we look at different building methodologies. We are not only specialized in tents or tree houses, we are specialized really in alternative building methodologies. So light structure, low carbon footprint, light on earth, and we do also interior design in-house. And as I mentioned before, it's part of our approach is very holistic, and it's really about creating experiences and experiential features throughout the property of the destination for the guest in order to create unexpected, surprising experiences that are memorable. So sleeping under the stars, or dining on top of a tree house, or picnics, or life. It's all about creating life-defining moments. Like a spa safari, or we are so hands-on in the experiences that we also often we go and create, we map the site with hiking trails and etc. So our approach is very holistic. Okay, furniture, we go through all the stages, working drawings, and up to, and so also it's not only about design and develop the guest rooms in the front of the house, but also the main area, the back of the house, the infrastructures, the staff housing, and often our projects are off-grid in the remote areas, and where it's not possible, we have to build in a way, leaving no trace once removed, once the project is removed. And so we go through the process of the development, project management. We manage the tent production, handling, and installation. We work with different tent factories around the world. We worked in the past with Anneke as well, and go through the construction and etc. And then it's a closeout, and it's delivery of the finished product to the operator and to all the stakeholders. And what do? We have 30% of our team has been operating on the field, these camps and these lodges. And so we do really understand how to operate these camps, but strategically we decided not to do so. And we work with third-party operators. And these are some of the brands that we're working with, and some global, some regional, some, and once we open, then once we provide the keys to the project, and we provide also an ongoing support on maintenance, or technical, and eventually also on we go back to refurbish and rebuild the project, like this one, Botswana, after 10 years later. So we build a relationship with our clients as a long-term assets. And then this is something new that we started lately, is a media push, because we are very hands-on and we take care of our clients, our project, and we are passionate. We also provide, contribute to awareness to all the projects, and provide advertising equipment value. And it's a way to create awareness to the project once it's open, is fully operational. And I think I've been within my time limit of 8 minutes, David.
Luca, thank you very much.
You doing like this, so I'm okay.
No, nothing like that at all. Absolutely fascinating. Thank you. Touch on so many good points. The triple bottom line, creating the experiential script for guests, light on earth, life-defining moments. There's some really good and interesting things there. And just to remind everyone who's listening, there's a Q&A function. Please put in your questions, and we'll get to those at the end. Thank you, Luca. We're going to turn now to Annika. I know Luca mentioned Annika in his talk. Annika's a legend. Annika's very well known. Annika's based in Bali. Annika has been a pioneer in luxury tents for as long as most of us can remember. Mantra being simplicity is the ultimate luxury. Annika, it's a real pleasure to have you with us today.
And not only an honor, but I'm so happy I can do it here from the sanctuary. And the sanctuary is like a video I'm going to play right now. And oh, I think it's just going, not playing right now, but that doesn't matter. It will be in a minute. And so this is the location where we're sitting right now. And this is the place where we, okay, just here. Maybe we turn off the music a little bit. Yeah, it's okay. Then you cannot hear me because I'm talking as well. Yeah. Okay, so this is where you're entering the sanctuary. This is the very first tent that I built about more than 10 years ago. And it's still the same tent, it's still the same materials. And this is where I have my daily life. I'm not traveling too much because the place is just so fantastic. I just don't need to go anywhere. So I basically live in the middle of the jungle. All the things that grow is like all natural, what was already growing there. So I haven't done much to it. And then in the front, you can see the river, which is the Ayung River, where all the 5-star hotels actually are situated. And I'm going on to my presentation right now. So I'm teleporting you to my life basically, and I'm going to show you. So this is the first tent that I built. You can see it now from close on, and on the top you can see me with my dog. So that is, really the proof I'm living there. So is it automatically? No. Okay. So then comes what I would like to do is put like a little bit of a pause on the globe, on the world, and show people a different kind of lifestyle, where where we can protect ourselves from aggression, pollution, and all the media overload and all of that. So we go to a place where we go very close to nature, where we can enjoy the sound of the rain and the wind, the birds, and all of that. So this is really the life. What is the tent life actually? So when I first started to think about tents, I was very much interested because I went to India and I saw this left top beautiful tent. I was invited by a Maharaja. And after that, I just fell in love with tents. And then later on, the Amanwana tent in Moyo Island also inspired me greatly. And it was not until like many years later that I really started to work on tents. So the first tent that I did was a floating tent, and that tent I designed it for experiences. And so we went into nature. We planted trees. We were walking around nature. We invited guests, and guests were, of course, paying to come to this particular event. We organized picnics and all of that. And later on, I graduated to a tent. That was about 15 years ago. I graduated to a tent with a deck. So we had a deck, and this was actually a showroom. So this is also like a different use of a tent. The first one was for experiences. This one was more for a showroom to show my products that were related all to luxury traveling. Then here is like another image of the experience for the Royal High Tea that we organize. And this is by the river, as you can see. In the back there, you see the floating tent again with a picnic set up and the picnic baskets and all of that. So people can really enjoy and stepping back in time, basically, as they are, as they're moving towards our direction. You know, the world really changes and becomes different.
Annika, hi. Let me just jump in. Your slides are not moving, and I think you need to go to full screen, please.
Full screen. They're not moving. They haven't moved at all.
No, it's okay. It's okay. We can just jump to where we are. It's just been fascinating listening to you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so then our first client came. That was in 2010, and that was Karma Kandara. So we built their spa. You see on the left where the circle is that's where that first tent was, and it was for their spa. So that was the first, and then the second project that we did in 2011 was for Uma Thurman. You can see me with her on the right-hand side there. And what you see on the image on the top is like the frame, and then the bottom is like the real thing right by the ocean. So that was really a challenge for me because it was the very first tent that I did. So we went there with a team. Huh? Yeah. Is it working right now?
Yeah, it's working. You just need to go full screen, please, Annika.
Okay, very good. So then, whatever, another year later, I set up the factory in Java together with Uli. He became my business partner, and we only had a very small team there. And you know, we had seamsters and sewers making our tents. And this is a picture of the factory, where you can see where I'm doing the quality control on the tents myself, together with our team. And it's been like an amazing experience. It's about 20 minutes flight away from where we are in Bali, so it's easy for us to get there. So my subject is really talking about the different tent styles. So we have like not tent styles, but tent uses. So we have designed tents for reception, for restaurant, bar, swimming pool, multifunctional spaces, spas, couples bedrooms, etc., a gym even, visitor center, gazebo. And this is the pool. So this is actually where I'm sitting. So you can see behind me, if that's what you're seeing later on, these arches, that is where I am right now. So it's an atrium tent, pool tent, and nature comes really in beautifully. And we have also designed a similar tent for a royal family. And this is an image of it by night. Then, because of social distancing, we have, this is only a draft actually, this is a beautiful drawing by the way, but it's not real yet. Social distancing, small tents for restaurants, people who can have their private dining spaces. And we thought this would be a very nice idea for the future. Then we have here another spa project, and this is in Lombok, Selong Selo, yeah.
We just
Beautiful.
need to move the slides on to have a look at it, please, Annika.
Yeah, I am. Okay, so, and there's one, okay, so we have the spa here, and I'm not used to talking so little. Anyhow, so the spa with these the same tents, and then here's another spa at the Beige in Cambodia. Then we have a tent for snow in Japan actually. So this was our very first experience, and it went well. Then we have rooftop tents, and this is one of them in Koh Samui. And here is the same location, but a different time of the day. Are the slides moving now?
No.
Oh dear.
Would you like Sumi to take over? She can take over the slides if you like.
Yeah, if she can, sure.
I think that's a better option.
Better option. Yeah, okay, let's do that because it's
Okay, let's do that.
I cannot share.
Great.
it. Okay, so Sumi, you're clicking, or do I do that?
Sumi's going to do that.
Oh, okay, all right.
Sorry, everyone, 2 secs, please. We'll get to it.
Okay, so this is the setup of the factory. So this is
Fab.
when I have Uli as my business partner, and then we can continue to the next one where you can see a picture of the factory and where I'm doing the quality control and working with my team. So we have over 100 people now working at the factory. And so we have all the different types of tents, which I already mentioned before, and we're going to see the images now on the next image. We're going to see the next tent. Sumi. Okay, so this is the pool tent. So now you can see it. Okay, no, can we go back to that one for a second? So this is actually where I'm sitting right now. So you can see those arches and the sun coming in, and it's really beautiful. Nature is coming straight in as well. And it has an open roof so the rain can fall into the pool. So the next image shows the same thing, but then a tent that we did for the royal family. And then this is the social distancing tents, which we thought would be a nice idea for the future. And I wanted to throw this in because the social distancing might be here forever. Who knows? So we don't know. And on the next image, we see the Selong Selo spa, which is just a beautiful view, beautiful location. And they also have all kinds of different tents, but I wanted to show the spa on this one. And the next image is also, this is our spa here. And we put that in a small tent, 3x3. And there's a shower and a toilet and all of that attached to it, the striped tent that you see. This is a spa in a room, actually, in the bed in Angkor Wat. And so we have another tent here in the snow, which is really quite amazing because the snow is really thick. And this is in Japan. And so this was our first experience with snow. So it means we can do all kinds of tents. Rooftop in Koh Samui. So you can do a tent on top of a roof, basically. And the next image shows the same tent, actually. The next image. To me, shows the same tent at a different time of the day. So on the next images, we're showing like a presidential suite, which is also in Cambodia, and this is also the beige. Then we have the Sofitel in Luang Prabang that has made a very beautiful decoration as well. This was their own decoration because usually we do the decorations ourselves. And so this project was also a couple of years ago. So then the tea salon, which is a lovely concept that really fits the tent style. So we call it tea with intent, really. And there's like a lovely story about it, but we don't have time for that now. But I hope one day I can share that with you. And so this is the tent that we did for the raffles, also in Cambodia, in Siem Reap. And that was just recently finished, and actually it was finished right before the close down everywhere started. So we were actually lucky to have some of these images done. And this is in Australia, a space where you can do yoga, and you can change it for a party event and so on. So it's just to show you the multifunctionality of a tent, so you can move things around easy. Then we have one for the office. I have one here also in the sanctuary, and it's a great location where you can really, you can do your meditation there. You can sit there, you can read, you can walk, you can be very inspired by nature so close to you. Yeah. Then the next one is some bathrooms. I'd like to share those with you as well. So we also do all the accessories and amenities for these bathrooms as well. And now I would like to go to camping and glamping, just to explain a little bit what glamping is, according to the Wikipedia, because it's often in sites that are found within caravan sites, which is not really what we are doing right now, and none of us are doing. We're doing like really luxury tents and living without walls, living outside the box, and all of that. So the type of business, the type of facilitators that we have are like either agents that are tent manufacturers. There are people that are consultants guiding you through the whole process. Is what Luca just explained. Then we go to tent manufacturers like us, and we produce the tents. We do the tent interiors, we do the accessories, the amenities, and all the drawings and installation, and we guide the client all the way through the process. Then there are, of course, tent manufacturers who just are selling tents, and they sell it to you, and there's no service or anything. So then the kind of places where you stay, it's in a camping. You can see a camping tent. Glamping is a glamping tent, and then living without walls is like a tent where you can actually really live. And then the next images are all related to camping, glamping, and what we are. And I just thought that would be a nice way for me to explain, you know, what is it that you're getting into? You're not getting into camping. You might be somewhere between glamping and living without walls style, you know, the kind of style that we are all doing, very high end. Glamping is usually a place where you don't really have room service. In the 5-star living without walls situations, you do have butler service, you have your own chef, you have, you know, everything that you have in a 5-star hotel basically. So it's all basically related to service when it comes to living without walls. So, and camping is also nice, of course. You can just wipe yourself off with baby wipes, or you can go glamping and then you can share a shower, or you can have your own tent and you're going to have a lovely stay in the tent. I mean, in the bathroom. The bathroom can actually be closed. This one we open it up so that you can see and look into nature. And the next slide is going to show you how to answer to nature's call. You can, when you go camping, you go to a tree, I suppose, and when you're glamping, you have a small toilet, if you're lucky, inside the tent, and if you're not lucky, it's outside. Living without walls, of course, everything is included in the same space. And then for climatizing the space, when you're camping, of course, you're putting on some extra sweaters, or you do something else to stay cool. Glamping, you just adjust a thermostat like a hotel in the airport, basically. And living without walls, we actually do have a cooling bed. So the bed is only cooled, not the whole tent, so that we don't waste any energy, because we want to be sustainable, of course. How to keep the supplies safe. The one from camping, you might have experienced that already. And in glamping is, you know, you just don't forget to lock the door as you head to the golf course. And when you're living without walls, we have beautiful trunks that can be locked, and so you can leave and feel safe. Yeah. The next image is, you know, how you eat dinner. Lovely fireplace, of course, we all love that. That is when you go camping. When you go glamping, you have a microwave oven in your room probably, and a supermarket close by. Well, when you stay at living without wall type tents, like we all are doing, you know, you have the fine silver, and you have everything beautifully presented, and you have your private chef coming and serving you the food. Again, how you spend the evening is like when you're camping, you have your flashlight, of course. When you go camping, you can go and glamping, you know, you can have your own cable television. And then when you go living without walls, you just don't want to do any of that. You just want to sit down with a glass of wine or hot tea, and ring the chef for some dessert, and, you know, spend some quality time with the family. So it's all a very different level. So next. Well, that is really that same image. I just wanted to show it in a bigger way because I find it very heartwarming. So, and then we go on to the next. So it's all together, you know, very different experience when you go camping, glamping, or living without walls. And it's really living without walls that most of us are promoting. We don't really use the word glamping, but, you know, when we're doing our marketing, we hashtag glamping because it's a great way for people to find us. Yeah. Then when you are staying in a regular hotel, you have on the left, you have like a beautiful lobby. And when you stay on the right, you know, you are sitting nice on with all your picnic stuff, and you sit on a mattress, and, you know, everything is nicely served for you, because there's always like a lot of attention, a lot of service when we are doing our tents. And then, yeah, when you're sitting in a lobby or something, you know, we we have like a swing where you can swing and you can kind of like mesmerize and just have beautiful moments with nature. And then the next image is showing a lovely lady who's like really very sweet and lovely, but the lady on the right is actually really doing something. She's taking action, you know, so she's walking with you to the tent and checks you in and all of that. So it's a little bit of a different, and the checkout is also, you can stay in your room and people are coming to fetch you to check out basically. So and then of course, not like this I'm saying, but it's very lovely what this guy is doing, but it's like really an SOP. But what you see on the right hand side, you see people really doing it with a heart and with love and tender care. Yeah, because it's, you know. And then the lady on the left, yeah, I think maybe I was like that before, who knows, but at least I'm much more carefree now, like this lady on the right hand side. So this is like a very big difference on attitude. You can already see, you know, where you're going to. And well, this is very clear, so you can go on to the next subject. Next slide. So yeah, the way the food is served is also really lovely. You don't, yeah, and then you don't sit in your room, you sit outside under a tree and you can work, and you can still have your Wi-Fi if you want to, if that's needed. And in the end, the bed is also quite a different. So you're like really out in nature. All the panels, they can be closed at night. So at night, I have my team. They close the panels at night, and in the morning they open them up. And so it's a very nice situation. So, and actually you can walk in and out the tents, and you walk straight into the grass. You don't need a path. Everything is like very beautiful and natural. And of course, in a hotel, you have a nice shower, and of course you could have a bathtub there. Well, but here is like really nice, like everything can be opened up because of the landscaping has been done so that you still have the privacy. And is there another slide? Ta-da! Yeah. Okay. So you can see the way how beautiful the swimming pool is, like smack in the middle of nature, and that's so beautiful. And then the next image is showing the way the food is served. So it's not like a buffet. It's like the kind of food that actually you can either go with the cook. You can go into the garden and you can pick your own vegetables basically, and then they can be cooked, which is something that I do here on a daily basis. And it's really, it gives you much more idea, you know. That flower that you see on the image there is like the flower of an eggplant. And, you know, you start to understand where everything is coming from. Yeah, so not the glamorous luxury of a castle, but with a modest simplicity. So this is back where we are right now. So, yeah, here you can see, you know, we're traveling with a small Jeep and not with a stretch limousine, which is a little bit less pretentious. The food is also served in a much more relaxed style, so you can see that obviously. So, and then also the check-in and the check-in again. I mean, the check-in, the staff is coming with you with the umbrella to take you to the room and make sure that you're very okay. And so when you're walking in, there's like beautiful music playing, and they're turning on the fans for you. They're opening up the panels, and you know, and then the dance with the tent starts. Okay, thank you.
Wow. Annika, thank you. Thank you. Wow, that was quite something. And there's a whole lot of questions waiting for you and Luca at the end, and I'm sure it'll be the same for Lewis and Bill. Let's move on and work through the presentations, and we'll get to the Q&A after. Lewis Thompson, CEO, Nomadic Resorts. I mean, Lewis has been talking about zero carbon resorts since he graduated 20 years ago, when no one was really talking about that concept. Subsequently, he's worked on numerous eco resorts, wellness retreats, safari lodges, pop-up tented camps, eco villa developments across Asia and Africa. Lewis, please, very welcome. Need to unmute, please, and we're away to go. Oh, we're off. Nice hat, by the way. Unmute, please, Lewis.
Oh, you guys got our picture. You unmute us? Yeah.
Lewis, just bottom left, far left.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Okay.
Sorry about
Loud
that.
and clear. Nice hat, by the way.
Thank you very much. It seems to be the day of technical challenges. So let me just run you through this. I'm going to do something a little bit different. Thank you very much for Anneke for telling us about her fantastic tents. I've always been a huge admirer of her work. I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to tell you a bit of a story. So many thanks for everyone for joining us. My name is Louis Thompson, and I'm the CEO and founder of Nomadic Resorts. Nomadic Resorts is a multidisciplinary hospitality design company offering architectural, landscape, and interior design services. We also produce a unique range of tensile membrane products for camps, lodges, resorts, and retreats. But my areas of specific expertise are in green building, tensile membrane engineering, and treetop living concepts. So today I'm going to weave these threads together to tell you a bit of a story about the past, the present, and the future of tents. I'm not going to focus too much on my own work, but I will focus a little bit, but I'll show you the kind of general trend that I can see developing. Okay, so unfortunately, this radical structure is not one of ours. This is a replica of the first known tent, judged to have been built around 25,000 years ago. Woolly mammoth bones were used as construction materials for dwellings by Neanderthals and modern humans throughout the Ice Age. Large bones were used as foundations for the huts, tusks for the entrances, and the roofs were skins held in place by bones or tusks. At that time, mammoths were a rapidly renewable local resource. In fact, they were also organic. And the whole thing probably seemed pretty sustainable. Today, if I made a safari lodge made from elephant tusks and giraffe skins, I might raise a few eyebrows. Tents have improved quite slowly throughout the ages. The essential construction technology remains similar for thousands of years. Multiple rigid elements, locally sourced timber, bamboo or bones, covered by animal skins or various rudimentary woven fabrics. The fur from animal hides provide a high level of insulation during the winter months, which is an important element which I'd like to come back to. However, be it camel hair Bedouin tents in the desert or sealskin tupics in the far north, typically the tent interiors had a pretty distinct feral smell. And the interior air quality in colder climates was smoky much of the time. In truth, it wouldn't really meet the level of comfort expected by a new generation of woke eco-tourists. In fact, I occasionally imagine an encounter between Inuit women skinning a baby seal for her tupik and a scandalized ethical traveler thirsty to learn about the indigenous culture. However, this is a very interesting quote from Benjamin Franklin, that despite the lack of ensuite bathrooms and air conditioning, there is a significant evidence that civilized colonial visitors to these indigenous camps often refused to return home to colonial society. Native Americans themselves seldom integrated into white society for any significant length of time, but there are multiple accounts from reliable historical sources that colonial American prisoners of the Native American tribes in the far west often refused to return to civilized society and literally had to be dragged back to town. At Nomadic Resorts, we're intrigued by this phenomenon and believe that within this enigma lies a fascinating story about sustainability, happiness, and hospitality. So, we design tents, and having noticed the distinct lack of innovation in tented accommodation over the last 10,000 years, we concluded that there may be an opportunity to leverage new developments in fabric engineering to create nature-inspired modular structures that are better suited to the expectations of a more cobbled society. Our focus was to redefine the notion of tented accommodation, reduce the physical footprint of our developments, and produce a similar level of comfort or luxury as many of the resorts I'd worked on at Six Senses. Our aim in essence was to develop modular tensile structures using the most advanced fabrics available that could be accurately engineered to withstand extreme weather conditions, provide efficient thermal comfort, and last a similar length of time to a conventional building. So since 2011, we've designed, engineered, fabricated, and installed a family of tented products: the Looper, our largest tent in the middle, the Urchin to the left, and the Seaford. for lodges and resorts for various luxury hotel groups. The images above are the Instagram eye candy that the public sees. You know, pretty girls in bikinis and lounging by the pool, and cool influencers enjoying a freebie. However, the images below tell a different story. It involves blood, sweat, and tears. These are the steel fabrication drawings, the membrane analysis, the thermal modeling, and the computational fluid dynamics that goes into our design process. As a team, we hope we have found a balance between the nerdy and the beautiful. For the interiors of our tents, we worked with Beau Rudler and Resplendent Salon to create an atmosphere that combines a steampunk aesthetic with references to the golden era of exploration. A strong focus on noble materials, tactile pleasure, and analog technology was critical to produce the desired effect of Wild Coast Tinted Lodge. And we are very grateful to the client and the local fishermen who built the resort with us and shared their local knowledge, food, and culture so generously. Now, every vernacular architectural tradition across the world would have found a use for a water-repellent, UV-resistant, durable fabric, either for waterproofing or shading, be it the pygmies of the Kalahari or the tribes of the Amazon. In fact, the history of weaving correlates in many ways with the history of civilization itself. Humankind has shown extraordinary powers of improvisation to transform available materials into thread. Those innovations continue today, and we're extremely fortunate to work in a rapidly changing field in which new smart fabrics take advantage of improved weaving technology and innovative material specifications. Each year, we see improvements in durability and performance. Some of the highest performance PTFE fabrics that are available for tents today were developed by NASA for the spacesuits worn by astronauts in the 1970s. Unfortunately, as you can see in the bottom left, today some of the most common available materials worldwide are plastic waste. As there are no mammoths around, we decided to see if we could find a way of harvesting a pollutant and transforming it into a sustainable asset. In our next tent model, we are delighted to announce that we will be making extensive use of reclaimed shoreline plastics for the fabrics, insulation, soft furnishings, bedding, fixed furniture, and even the floor. It will in fact be the first tent that we know of made predominantly from ocean waste plastics. So many thanks to the whole team for their efforts in that regard. Thank you, everybody. At the Muddick, we also specialized in bamboo architecture, and many of you will probably have seen our bamboo buildings in Sonavakiri or in Wild Coast Tinted Lodge. And we believe this is an area there will be significant potential for exciting green building innovations in the future. It's the combination of high-tech fabrics with natural building materials that interests us. Combining bamboo, timber, rammed earth, and adobe with tensile membrane roofing materials would exploit a natural complicity, providing materials that are inherently vulnerable to harsh weather on one side, with a lightweight, durable protection to increase their lifespan on the other. So here are a few grid shell structures and bamboo structures that have been done with membranes recently, and we expect to see this trend continue, and we very much hope to be at the forefront of that. Another area in which we have invested our research is identifying modular renewable energy solutions combined with sustainable energy storage systems to create zero carbon camps that can function off grid. Over the years, we've witnessed decreases in the cost of renewables, and we're now confident that membrane integrated photovoltaics and smart fabric technology will soon be a reality. As you can see, there's a variety of applications, including high altitude wind turbines. It's a very exciting area. Now I'm going to get on to the bit that fascinates me the most. So biomimicry is an important theme in the matter. It's a design process that learns from and mimics the strategies found in nature to solve human design challenges. We believe there are significant opportunities to develop lightweight tent designs based on existing natural forms and materials to provide shelter more efficiently. To give a little bit of an insight into where we are headed in our quest for lightness, I've included this pavilion structure by one of our engineer friends, which takes its inspiration from an inherently strong animal body part, the beetle, to create a shell roof structure clad with ETFE. What's absolutely extraordinary about this building is the structure used robots to weave carbon fiber reinforced plastics, which share many of the characteristics of natural composites such as cellulose, chitin, or collagen, into lightweight structural members. Today, new intersections between academic disciplines are bearing stranger fruit still. Seeing the recent developments in digital morphogenesis by Neri Oxman at MIT, we expect to see hybrid combinations of materials in the future, as biomimicry, organic chemistry, architecture, membrane engineering, 3D printing, and natural fabrication combine to provide us with a host of incredible new tools, methods, and techniques. New materials will be developed with performance and behavior that differs hugely from our current expectations. Let's hope that one day, we too will be able to harness the enthusiasm of silkworms to create our own tent fabrics, as they did with the Silk Pavilion 2 in the bottom right. Or robotically fabricate structural members from the molecular components found in tree branches, insect exoskeletons, or even our own bones. The tourism industry is in a state of flux, and it's increasingly clear that the hospitality sector is in need of radical change to face a changing commercial landscape in a low-touch economy. Could this be a moment to reconsider our traditional modus operandi in the hotel industry and adopt bold new strategies to develop and operate resorts in an entirely new way? With our new venture, Nomadic Escapes, we are hoping to do just that. Maybe the future of glamping is a little bit more important than we think. It could become an inquiry into our relationship with the planet and a unique opportunity to explore ways to reduce the waste of mankind on the earth. Thank you very much.
Wow. Louis Thompson, thank you. Really, really inspirational, innovative, and forward thinking. There's been a whole bunch of questions for you during that, and I will get those over to you shortly. Bill Barnett, Managing Director, C9 Hotelworks. Bill, over to you, please.
Hi, how are you, David? And it's great to see all these guys in hats. I mean, I don't know, I'm in Bangkok right now, and I really wish I had a hat. So I don't know where's Luca's hat? I'm not sure where that is, but I'm here at the Rosewood here, and I've got Negroni. So there's nothing actually I'd rather like to be down with Annika in Ubud by the river there and having a Negroni right now, day drinking, right? But you know, you guys are still out there. I can see you guys. Let me just double check. Okay, yeah, you're there. Anyway, glamping. Our company, C9 Hotelworks, are advisors and consultants. We've been doing a number of these projects over the past few years. Wa'ale in the Mergui in Myanmar, of course, Bawa Island Reserve in Indonesia as well. We're seeing more and more people intelligently looking, why are people doing glamping? What's the reason for this exercise? And I've kind of highlighted 10 areas here to talk about. Certainly development cost. You know, when you're looking at pure hotels and everything else, the infrastructure and everything else, for us, what's critical when we do resort projects, it's the GFA. You know, it's the actual area of the development. Times, you know, unlike a city hotel where you might be getting efficiency ratios of 70%, sometimes 80% in select service. With these type of resorts, you know, typically in a traditional beach resort, you're looking at efficiency ratios sometimes 60%, 50%, even at the ultra luxury level, 40%. Which means you're paying for another 60% of often what guests don't see. You're paying for large back of house areas. You have these arrival structures where guests will arrive one time and never go back there until they check out. What we like is glamping in these type of spaces are very space efficient. So they're development friendly because you're able to probably see efficiency ratios in these type of projects, maybe 70%. You know, we're talking about lower footprints, so lowering the footprint of a resort where what you see is what you get. And I think that's really important. You're not trying to hide the staff in back of house areas because it's a community. You know, this type of service, this type of experience is meant to enjoy as part of a village. And to us, that's reconnecting this hospitality back to the roots. If you go back to, you know, where hospitality started, in an English pub, you had a great pub downstairs and some rooms upstairs where you checked in afterwards. Again, it's a social experience. And despite social distancing and everything else, it's that sense of community or the village, you know, which sets glamping apart. But development costs is certainly every reason, because when we're doing ROIs for glamping type projects are, you know, we can accelerate the returns probably anywhere by 40, 50%. And that makes a lot of sense because you're getting your money back quicker. And, you know, so that certainly is one reason to do glamping resorts. Sustainability, and I think this has to be, no matter what you say, this is the top, you know, aside from COVID-19 right now, sustainability is such an important part of our element for over tourism wherever we go now. And this has to be a part. And glamping in terms of, you know, these are low footprint solutions when you're going on the land. You're not destroying a piece of land, you're working with the land. When we work with a developer who's saying we're doing a glamping resort, they're taking the terrain and they're saying, where can we place these tents? Where can we place things to accommodate them? Because your backdrop is not the city. You know, it's not a harbor that you're overlooking. You're overlooking nature. So trying to find the best places to move these around. And what we find interesting is, you know, your master plan, often you'll be going to a site and selecting the site where these are going to go and say, where's the nicest views? Where's that individualism? And just that's everything. But sustainability is so important because these are low footprint times. You know, you'll have some aircon, but you don't have the large aircon lobbies. You don't often have aircon restaurants at all. So you're not sucking up electricity in terms of these type of things. So your carbon footprint is minimalized. I think that's every reason to do these type of projects. And you're not scarring huge tracts of land because you're working with the land instead of working against the land. And that's really important. I think when we go into small development footprint, talking about that more, again, you know, with land, you're getting efficiency, but it's site dependent. For architecture, it challenges them more because an architect's not just saying, here's garden views and here's pool rooms and here's these type of things. Saying for every unit, you have a unique opportunity to depict what that ambiance will be because you have the interior, but you also have nature. You've got the rocks on the land. You've got trees here. You've got the elements of common areas. You perhaps have a farming element to it as well. So you can express that, and it takes architects back and challenges them to the creative process. I think that's so much more interesting than doing a typical resort project where you're just leveling everything and then trying to recreate something, but you're working with a parcel of land that was there already. Pricing premium, and no matter what you go, and you go back to, you know, when we look at projects like Shinta Wild, you know, in Cambodia, which are Shintamani Wild, where they're getting $2,000 a night, all inclusive. Do they bat above their weight in terms of pricing premiums? Absolutely. So if you're looking for a project, we always go, you know, in feasibility and everything else, we say, how do you bat above your competition? But what we know about glamping and we know about luxury products in this element is they trade above their competitive set in terms of pricing. So it makes absolute commercial sense to have a pricing premium. It's a premium product. Even at the basic level, you know, in terms of that, when you're looking at small tents or you know, mid-scale type projects, they have better rates than their competitors. So again, pricing premium makes sense. Fast to market, you know, again, big hotel project, we see them taking sometimes 4 years, sometimes 5 years. In a beach resort, you're going through master planning, you've got a consultants, you've got this and everything else. You know, a good glamping project, you're able to turn around sometimes anywhere from 2 years to even less time sometimes as well. So you're fast to market. If you see an opportunity, you're able to take your piece of land, you're able to do a design, you're able to manufacture the product and come to the market quickly to take advantage of that opportunity. The world goes fast, and again, you've got to come to market at one point or another. So again, having a fast to market solution makes a lot more sense because you're not spending 2 years on the sheer build, okay? You know, tents don't take that long to build in terms of that. You're landscaping, you're doing other elements as well, but again, fast to market, key element, communal. And this is what's interesting, because so often we do a lot of traditional cookie cutter hotels, and like them or not, you're designing back of house, the separation, you know, without walls, but it's without walls between your staff. Because traditional thinking in institutional hotels is don't see the staff, you know, it's like children should be seen but not heard. You know, that's bullshit. That doesn't make any sense to me. Because at the end of the day, you want to see staff move around. You want a housekeeper who might be serving you dinner. You want staff who are going to be, in the days of the crisis, now we're saying less staff, but staff who can do multitasking, right? That's what's nice to see, people moving about, having that relationship with the staff through the whole journey, when they check you in, when they serve you a meal, when they make your bed, perhaps they're out also doing the gardening. Again, it's that sense of community. And again, having meals together with people and having that sense of community and having that's part of adventure. When you go back to your earliest time, the first time you went camping, you loved it because you're with your family, you're with your friends. It's like reinventing your first travel experiences, which are always memorable for people. And that's, again, how this chance is. I think friends and family, and the ability to bring your family together and have it isolated, where you're off the iPads, where you're off the rabbit wheel, whatever that of the everyday, and you're able to share time. You're able to have a campfire. You're able to have a morning breakfast. Sure, you're getting up at dawn. Perhaps sometimes you're experiencing that where you're not going to be doing it at home. So I think that sense of friends and family is really important because it allows you to reconnect. I think something that we've learned from the existing crisis now is the value of having time. Time is a luxury. That's the new luxury. It's not the best 5-star hotel in the world. It's sharing time together with your friends and family. And this space really works with that. I think that's important as well. It's only escapism, because you can go, when we look at these type of projects, they don't necessarily need the airlift of a 300-room 5-star hotel. You know, they can work with different locations. They can work on lower occupancy. They can work with guests who have to go there as a destination, because they're going to, because again, if you're going to this type of escape destination, you'll stay for a week because it took you so bloody long to get there. So it's a good space, again, because you're not trying to fill the room every night. You're not trying to say, let's have new guests coming in and out. So you can work with exciting destinations. Again, so when you have places, there's a lot of places out there with airlift. You know, airlift for big hotels is everything, but for this space, it's not that necessary, because again, part of the adventure is getting there. And I think, you know, we worked in projects in Myanmar where, you know, again, it takes you 3 hours to get there in terms of that, but that's what people want. That's part of the experience. That's why, again, this space really works for these type of locations. I think as an add-on to an existing resort, this is interesting. We've seen a number of people come in and retrofit and say, we've got some extra space, we need a different product, and segmenting your clients. Too often with hotels, you see, you know, you have the ability to, in existing to hotels, say, let's just add more rooms. But the more rooms you have the single segmentation. You can't cater it to everybody. So creating an add-on glamping experience in an existing resort, fast to market, gives you premium pricing. It makes a lot of money sense as well. So we think this is an exciting space as well. And also it's not moving land. You know, if you're going to add on to an existing resort, you've got disruptions in terms of construction for years. You know, whereby glamping, you're working on smaller footprints. You can come in, construct quickly, and have it up again. And it's a different experience. You're segmenting your business as well. I think active experiences for that, you know, forget, you know, too often we're talking, you know, we talk about like wellness and everything else, but it's active experiences, going to a resort and saying that you have to be active in a resort like this, because yeah, it's about walking. You don't need a golf cart buggy to every room. It's not that type of thing. People can walk. You know, when you actually look at a walking space, we were designing a project in the Philippines recently, and people were saying, oh, maybe it's too far for the, you know, people need golf carts. And when you actually start counting the steps, actually logically saying it's a 2-minute walk. You know, certainly you can walk 2 minutes to your room without having to take a golf cart, with creating a gravel walkway, you know, which you can walk on nicely versus laying down cement and everything else for these type of projects. So again, it encourages active experiences. Going to Cambodia a few months ago, you know, my first experience going back to Shintamani Wild, which I'm not pitching for them, but it was such a great experience. I zip lined in, you know, and a man of my size said, don't do the zip line, but I did the zip line. I almost died. But it was a one of an only chance experience, right? And again, what an amazing thing, because it's always gonna be in my mind, probably as my best resort experience again. But those are the things you remember. It's not just about the accommodation. So these people we're talking about today, I think something Lewis talked about as well is important, because with 3D technology, using the best of technology as well, but also going backwards and looking at recycled materials, looking at reuse, looking at noble materials, like going back to bamboo handicrafts and these type of things where we can repurpose structures and everything else. This space can do that. And this ticks all the boxes of where we should be in travel and accommodation today. And we love the space. We love what Luca and Annika and Lewis are doing. So, you know, over to you guys. There's lots of questions as well. Thanks, David.
Bill, thanks very much. Wow, there's a lot there. Just to remind everyone, because there's been a few questions about it, all these presentations are going to be available for download after this. You'll get a link within about an hour of closing the session, and we've got about 10 minutes left. So let's get to some of the questions. Goodness, there's been an absolute host of them. Let's get to them first. Let's get to remote locations. Luca, how do you manage infrastructure in remote locations? This has been asked several times. Power, water, internet, sewage, you know, all of these elements. How do you manage that in remote locations? You need to unmute, please. Thanks, Luca.
Yeah, we have to do it. I mean, it's most of those projects are in the remote areas, and we need to handle. I mean, the idea. I mean, the plan is to work to leverage as much as possible natural resources, the local natural resources. And so if it's wind, if it's solar, and we try to be low carbon footprint. So a combination of it's a combination of solar panel farm with batteries or hydro. So it's a combination of different energy sources, and then there's a sewage and like a septic tanks or other solutions. And the goal is important to leave no trace on the environment once the project is can be removed and be very light on the environment.
How about some of those remote locations? I mean, do you seek them out? This is another question. Do you seek them out yourself, or are they selected by operators and they say, this is the land that I've got, what can you do with it?
I mean, we work with landowners or with developers or with operators. Sometimes we source the operator and bring the operator to the project. It's really about understanding the site, the destination, and maybe the client, the landowner has initial ideas, and we typically come to the site, have a site discovery and brainstorming with all the stakeholders, and in order to understand what is the best way to embrace nature, culture, and the spirit of a place. Genius.
That sounds fantastic. Annika, can I ask you to, a little bit about longevity, please? I know you get involved in the manufacturing of the tents. There's been a lot of questions about durability of materials. So there's sort of two parts to this question, really. What is the longevity of tents? How do you maintain them?
Okay, good question. So the experience that we have, I have lived here 10 years, and the tents are all in very good condition. The roofs have like 4 different layers, and the top layer is like a nanotechnology fabric that takes off dirt automatically, and it's like waterproof, and it's also self-cleaning and the whole story. So that part needs to be changed every 6 or 7 years, depending on what your location is and your situation. But you can still keep on operating because we have 3 more layers of fabric. One is insulation, and the other one is like the interior, just to make the interior look nice. And the one in between is to cover actually the metal frame of it's a very heavy metal frame that we're actually working with. So it's also the frames that you need to look at. The frames, we have actually the kitchen that used to be in my studio 15 years ago. When I used it as a showroom, I'm using it as a kitchen now. It's 15 years old, and we have just put a new floor there. And we could also check the frame, and the frame still looks like really quite amazing. I mean, there's like a little bit, irregularities, but that's normal. So, we're actually quite proud, to have that experience, and that we can really share, the reality of the tents. Yeah, that at least the ones that we're making. I don't know about other tents, but this is.
That's great, Annika. Thanks. Just a little bit about the remote locations. I just want to ask you that a little bit too. And there's been a few questions about what are the performance of tents, we call them luxury tented camps, in remote locations, because they're remote locations for a reason. They're extreme locations. There's going to be extreme climates. There's like I saw, and even so many across different, not just tropical locations, but really cold locations where there's snow, really windy where there's typhoons. How do you manage that?
Okay, so actually, it's not only on location the issues, but it's also like getting it there, because sometimes when we do a remote project, the client should really get like a big floating thing and a pulling boat, so they can bring the things to the island. And then once you get to the island, somebody has to jump off the raft and then just pull the things onto the island. So we have figured out ways of how to get things on remote locations like that. So the shipping is often the issue, but like remote locations, also the people, there are no experienced builders in most of those islands where we're working. So for the people, it's fantastic that they have like a ready-made product. So all we need to do is get it there basically, and then we're sending our team, of course, to set it up and so on. With cold locations, we don't have all that much experience except the one in Japan, but you know, it was not snowing or windy at the moment when we got there. We were just trying to get some good pictures on the day that it snowed. So the next day I said, oh, can I get a few more pictures? No, snow is already gone. So anyway, so I cannot really answer that question, but it's a challenge, but you know, we're all like involved in doing it, and we're guiding the client, and we're having fun doing it. Yeah.
Annika, thank you. Louis, your presentation was fascinating because it really went back to the very beginning. There's clearly been an advancement in technology during that time and in engineering. Just your comment on that, leading on from Annika, please. What sort of foundations are required for tents? How are they fixed to the ground? These are some of the practical questions that people are asking. Is there a wind rating on tents? How do you approach this?
Okay, well, this is a sort of a very interesting subject. So the original tent engineering models were developed by Frey Otto, and who was a friend of Buckminster Fuller's. And the original designs were based on minimal surface tension, which is essentially the forms that bubbles take when you put them in different contexts. And those original designs were also used by Gaudi as well for some of his work in Barcelona. But answering the actual question, those models were used to create software, which is 3D modeling software or membrane analysis software. So, for example, in our tents, we use 3 different technologies. We use a membrane analysis and patterning software, which will find the form based on the steel structure that we introduce into that model in much the same way as a bubble will find a form on a wire structure that you submerge into soapy water. Within that model, you can actually add any wind speed that you require. So, for example, here in Mauritius, we're in like the worst place in the world, unfortunately. So the tents that we're doing here, we're engineering to a wind speed of 280 kilometers an hour, which is class 5 cyclone once in 100 years. So those are important things. So, you know, the field is endless in that respect. You can design to any kind of design life and any kind of engineering requirement. But the other thing that's very important, and I think we probably haven't touched on it sufficiently, you know, tents have to be held down as opposed to from fear of flying away. So that's very important consideration, is that you have to anchor the tents. But another important engineering notion I think is really critical and we should really pay more attention to is thermal engineering or thermal modeling. So that you can evaluate, you know, what kind of technology you require to maintain thermal comfort in the tent. Because we use 2 different softwares, so a thermal modeling software and a thing called computational fluid dynamics, which basically follows a molecule of air through the space so that you can understand the natural ventilation process. I think these are important because it's going to reduce the energy requirement and thus facilitate the use of renewable energies. So I don't know if that's answered your question.
No, that absolutely did. Because there's a leap of faith here for a lot of the people who are listening. A lot of people in the industry. A lot of people are in the hotel industry, and they're building traditional resorts. And this is something that I want to get to too, and it's been asked many times also. What is the cost of building? I mean, the economics of tents. What is the cost of building versus a traditional hotel? Bill Barnett.
Actually, I think I'll go over to Luca Franco on that. I'm going to knock it on to Luca. Luca?
Okay, Luca. Hand pass.
I mean, as the spectrum, it goes from, I don't know, from $50,000 to $1 million per tent. It targets, it's about performance, it's about target market usage, seasonality. I mean, the Amangiri tent that we just completed, that's very close to the second number that I just mentioned. But also it's renting for $5,000 per night, just the room night. So the project has to be viable, financially viable, plus with on the environment and socially, but has to make financially sense. Otherwise, it will remain just a beautiful picture on some renders. And so a mangiri, Camp Sarika, a biomimicry in Utah, can sustain to spend an important capex because the market is there. And so going back to your question, there are amazing projects at $200 per square foot to $150 per square foot to $400+ per square foot. We're still, the infrastructure is still the most expensive component of the project. So the tent itself doesn't cost a lot, besides going to high performance fabrics like Louis. But it's all about performance and target market, I think. And climate conditions. I mean, the thermal modeling that Louis was mentioning is really important, especially when we go to create projects that are all weather.
Right, absolutely. I'm going to ask Louis about that in just a moment. Annika, first one for you. What, in your opinion, is driving this industry? Is it a different mindset of consumers? Is it a post-COVID? Is it something that's been happening for a long time? Is it land availability? Is it just demand for this type of product? Is the industry growing, or has it ground to a halt? Where are we?
I love this question because it is so timely. Indeed, people do like to go back to nature, and also their mindsets are quite changing because of the COVID. I mean, they're becoming, how would I say, less consumer. They're becoming more close to nature and things like that. So all of the attitudes of people are also changing towards sustainability and all of that. So I think that there is really a great future for our business, because and we can guide people, you know, and it's not only about building a tent, but it's building all the experiences around it and giving people a great experience. And the thing is, because what we do is not that adventurous, so people can still be close to nature and be like super comfortable, and you know, and don't need to scream when they see an ant or something, you know what I mean? So we can slowly introduce them closer to nature, so they can, you know, they can go step by step. You know, coming from the big city into the jungle straight away might just be a big challenge. So you know, you want to go a bit step by step, but it is really so wonderful to see how people change their attitudes when they're leaving, and their feeling, their emotions. And sometimes people, they leave and they say, I don't know what I'm doing with my life, you know, look at you, you know. It's like, oh, okay, great, you know. So and as I live, you know, I live in nature, and I see, like this morning I saw like a beautiful blue bird flying over the pool inside the tent and then out again. And then when I was talking to somebody, there was like a butterfly, you know, in front of me, and I'm like, wow. This is just, you know, of course, this has a great influence on people's.
Fantastic. So a chance for a real kind of human reset. Louis, one more question for you, please. You talked about biomimicry. Thought it was just fascinating, and it's a real sort of look into the future. You talked about beetle type structures. Could you just expand on that a little bit more? I mean, is this too far away, or is this coming to us now?
No, I don't think so at all. No, I mean, it's already in action. In fact, the actual membranes themselves are based on biomimicry, strangely enough. So the hydrophobic coating of the actual membranes is based on the leaf of a lotus, and that's how they developed that hydrophobic coating. So I think to say these things are far away, we're just not aware of their existence within our day-to-day operations. I mean, the Velcro was developed from the design of the foot of a gecko, for example. And this is now developing at a much faster rate, I think, than previously, largely because I think there needs to be new developments in technology to create these hybrid structures. And my hope is that we manage to develop strong, sustainable, lightweight structural members from composite materials. That might be bamboo, or it could be, you know, something that I'm not aware of. And that would be a very exciting process. For the biomimicry thing, we just do it the way we do it. So it could be a wasp's nest, could be a bird's nest, could be a shell, could be a fingernail. At different sites, we find different bits and bobs, really, if I'm totally honest about it. And then we've often designed the tents in function of those things that we found lying around. I'm sorry, that doesn't sound too scientific. But
No, but it sounds a great creative process. Louis, thank you. Bill, we're running out of time. Some closing remarks from you, please.
I think, these are great insights. And one thing, Louis just says is important. What came from the site? It's not shipping something from Italy. It's not shipping something from France. It's not shipping something from North America. It's finding what's on the site. What are those noble materials you can use with bamboo and other materials? That's so important. I think that's why this space is exciting to us. And glamping can go on to other things. This alternative accommodation with bamboo structures. We see guys with AutoCamp in the US. Look that product up. It's a great product. They use Airstreams together with glamping again. So there's no rules. The thing about this is it's not a space where you just have four walls. This is design and this is travel without four walls. So where the space is going, nobody knows. That's what's exciting about it, because it's a journey through things that's making up as you go along and innovating. And that's why innovation is such an exciting space for designers who wants to just design a box. So get the hell out of the box and come glamping. Thanks, David.
Thank you, Bill. On that note, I'm going to say thank you very much to everyone for joining us. Luca, Annika, Louis, Bill, Barnett, thank you so much. The recording is going to be available within an hour. Please look forward to downloading it. All the best.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
For listening to us. Okay.